What's up, guys? Dr. Mo here from Expat Health. Welcome to this episode talking really about all the different ways that we can get some exercise in. So the way I think about exercise, the way I think about activity levels is what are the risk factors that my patient has, what it is that I want them to accomplish, what it is that they want to accomplish as far as their health, what are they trying to avoid, what are their big risk factors. So in general, especially those of us who work remotely, are digital nomads, or expats who are retired, you're overseas and you're living abroad, but you may not have a crazy schedule. So it's easy to fall into the routine of maybe not doing a lot throughout the day or sitting still for long periods of time. I think in general, if you can rest, if you can feel rested, for example, if you're in this calm mindset where you're sitting down for a long time, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you're sitting down for a long time, really focusing and intense, maybe even experiencing some stress, that is probably not so good for the body. And especially when you combine that with being inactive, it's just a bad combination. So the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about exercise bands, so this is the classic Theraband brand that I usually purchase. I purchase different strengths of these, right? Different resistance strengths, and these are not that long, so this is just kind of doubled up. And when you double it up, obviously it becomes twice as strong. What I like about these is they're easy to pack, easy to travel with. They stink. That's the only thing I don't like about them. And I generally go with the extreme. So I get like the very strong ones and then the very light ones. I want to say green is the lightest and red is the strongest, or maybe the black is the strongest. I don't remember. But I usually have one that's very, very light and one that's very, very strong. So I kind of maybe between cooking or sitting down for a long time and sitting down and working for a long time, I might grab the yellow or red ones and then do some gentle exercises. So I kind of wanted to show you guys a few things that I do. But before I show you everything that I do, I want to just talk about the concept behind it. The concept is working out our muscles. So doing actual resistance training, it does accomplish has cardiovascular benefits. But when you do an actual resistance training, you're also improving the bone structures and you're helping grow the muscle tissue and activate certain receptors in the muscles that can help with metabolism, specifically the way blood sugar is maintained and insulin levels. So for that reason, I'm a big fan of resistance training, especially for those of us who are on the skinny side, and for those of you with metabolic issues, and especially for those with bone health problems as you get older. And being on the skinny side, you have a little bit higher risk of bone problems in the future. So when it comes to exercise bands, I just pack them. I have them laying all around because I want to be able to do exercises. So if I am at home, probably one of the most simple ones that I do, and I always try to utilize my feet when I do something. So I put my foot in it and I'm doing some gentle exercises. Now I'm also dealing with some bicep problems. So I'm actually doing a lot of training to, decrease the chronic inflammation that I have with my bicep tendon. So I'm doing isometrics and I'm doing a lot of negatives just to help improve my tendon strength. But in general, if you're just working out and you just want to get some circulation to your muscles, right? And holding it and letting it down slowly. And you can increase this quite a lot. So for example, if I double this up and step on this part with my foot, then all of a sudden I have quite a bit of resistance that I can work with. I can do tricep training. So for example, I might be able to hold this with one hand behind my back and do some tricep exercises. I really enjoy doing shoulder type exercises. I don't want to bust this lamp that's right above my head, but in a very stable manner with your shoulder, and depending on your shoulder mobility, doing some shoulder type exercises is really good. There is one that I do a lot, especially as a rock climber, that's very helpful for me, is to really engage my scapular muscles and stabilize my shoulder. Being careful not to put too much pressure in your armpits, of course. So relax your shoulders as much as possible and do these exercises. Again, the point I'm really trying to make here is that there's a lot that you can do. So for example, you can do deadlifts with this. So you basically step in the middle of this. So if I step in the middle, I can do some gentle deadlifts. And these are really good exercises just to hold it for your shoulders to decrease any kind of spasms in your shoulders, and hinging at the hip, bracing your back and your abdominal muscles to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on your back, and doing some of these exercises. What I've done in the past, though my shoulders don't always allow me to do that, is to do some squats. And basically, if I hold this over my head, I create a little bit of resistance. There's other ways of doing it to do some squats. You can do resistance training for just your forearms and your wrists, especially for those of us who spend a lot of time on the computer. We tend to get a lot of issues with our wrists, from carpal tunnel to Dicker-Vein's tenosynovitis. So just doing some gentle training of your wrist in all directions can be really helpful. Deltoids, right? The chest, abs, all of this gets worked out. For chest, I have tried different variations, and there's a lot of other ones that you can try. These are really good for me for chest, and I don't need a lot. That's the other thing to consider. How much resistance do you really need to work out? I mean, if you're trying to gain a lot of muscle, that makes sense. But there are many ways to gain more muscle mass if that is what you're missing. So if you are intensifying the actual workout, meaning that I really focus on the extension of my tricep and really hold it as I go up and down, that's going to certainly stimulate the muscle more than if you're just going through the training, even if you just added more resistance. But of course, adding more resistance, so doubling up your bands, will certainly make the muscles train harder, work harder, so they're more likely to hypertrophy, they're more likely to become more efficient, and increasing the number of times you're doing an exercise, really going to that level of exhaustion, as long as your tendons and nerves can tolerate it. So these are the exercises, and you can see definitely gives me a good out-of-breath sensation, so it's a great workout. The more you do these kind of exercises, the less likely you have to do a lot of it to benefit from it. You could do this just occasionally, right? There's some great studies out there. Those who already are a bit fit or in the fit status, they generally need to put in about 1/10 or 1/9 of effort than they did to gain that muscle to maintain it. So what I mean by that, in order for me to get muscle mass, I may have had to put in, let's say 10 hours a week, right? Now, if I want to maintain this muscle mass that I got, I would only have to put in 1 hour a week. And that's pretty fascinating. So to maintain it, you need a lot less. You don't need quite as much. So if you're happy with where you are, you don't need to go crazy. Just a little bit really goes a long way. To me, working out the traps, working out the wrists, the shoulders are incredible. And I think less weight for the shoulders, really just to stabilize them, is great. Your back, your abdominal area, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves, these are really important things to work on. Now, I'm not going to go over flexibility, and I think maybe we can do a video just on that, but needless to say that these kind of exercise bands are absolutely amazing. I mean, they do wear out, but fortunately you can purchase them from a lot of suppliers locally, or of course you can order it from your favorite online store. I'm here in Germany these few days, and there are plenty of stores that sell these kind of resistance bands. It's really good to see, and I can always order it on Amazon if I really prefer these. And there is a difference. There is a huge difference between these resistance bands. For example, what I really like about these is they stretch, and then they keep stretching, and then they keep stretching, and the resistance really doesn't fall off. With some of the other brands, it's pretty bad. You get to this point where it just won't go anymore, and it's really uncomfortable. But again, they do tear. And you can put these against chair legs and sofa legs, and you can put a knot in it and put it against the door. There's a lot of different exercises that you could do with these to really get the muscles flowing. So again, if you are at home every time you take a break, every time you go to a new room. I like to leave this in the bathroom. When I go to the bathroom, when I'm about to shower, I'll do some of my exercises in the middle of the day. When I go take a break, or if I go brush my teeth, then I go do another exercise set at night before I go to sleep. I do some exercise sets, and it's definitely resulted in incredible gains for me over the years, especially having done it without, I've never had a gym membership of any sort, except for rock climbing. And this has been a great way for me to work out the muscles, but also rehabilitate a lot of my tendons and ligaments and injuries over the years. You can see the weather is picking up here a little bit as we're getting into October. So guys, that is it for me at Expat Health. If you have any questions, leave your comments below. I would love to engage. I would love to find out what you do on a day-to-day basis to get your activity levels. For me, exercise bands are probably my mainstay. Exercise bands, going for a walk, doing my stretches every day. And again, I'm just doing this for a few minutes every day, and probably every other day going to the rock climbing gym and engaging in something a little bit more intense. So as Dr. Peter T always talks about, like, your zone 2 and then your zone 5 training. I go to the rock climbing gym to really get a little bit more of my zone 5 training, and the majority of the rest of my training is probably just zone 2 or zone 1, and that seems to be enough. All right, guys, take care.